And while tensions persist over a threat of a possible Russian invasion, websites of the Ukrainian army, defense ministry and major banks were knocked offline in a series of cyber attacks. Ukraine's Information Security Center pointed the finger at neighboring Russia. Ukraine's communications watchdog said in a statement, I am quoting here, it is not ruled out that the aggressor used tactics of little dirty tricks because its aggressive plans are not working out on a large scale. At least 10 Ukrainian websites were unreachable due to the attacks. These affected sites included Oshad Bank, State Savings Bank. These are two of the country's largest financial institutions. Both resumed service later on Tuesday then. But the military sites remained inaccessible hours after the initial reports of the attack. The Defense Ministry site showed an error message saying that it was undergoing technical maintenance. The Armed Forces website showed a message saying that it could not be reached. Now, Kiev has blamed Moscow for similar actions in the past as well. The type of disruption reported by Ukrainian authorities is known as Distributed Denial of Service, often abbreviated as DDoS. But the scale of it wasn't immediately clear. One European diplomat has also said that the hacking was concerning because a full military attack on Ukraine would likely be preceded by a cyber attack. The White House said that it has not determined responsibility for these cyber attacks.
I don't have anything on the attribution at this point in time. I know there have been a range of reports. What I can say is that we have been in touch with the Ukrainians, our allies and partners, working with them to deter and respond to malicious cyber activity. We have also been warning for weeks and months, both publicly and in our engagements with the Ukrainians as well as our European partners, about the potential for Russia to conduct cyber operations in Ukraine, but I don't have anything more specific on attribution at this point.
Now, the attacks came as President Joe Biden warned that a Russian invasion remains distinctly possible. Moscow claimed the same day that some of its troops are pulling back from the Ukraine border. The cyber attack came 1 month after another strike briefly took down key government websites. NATO had responded within hours of the January attack. A cyber warfare cooperation deal was announced with Kiev. The European Union also said that it was mobilizing all its resources to help Ukraine at the time. And for more on this, joining us live from Kiev is Andrei Umled, who is an analyst in the Stockholm Center for Eastern European Studies. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, in a show of unity in the backdrop of the threat of a Russian invasion, Ukraine is marking its National Unity Day. On the other hand, Russia has ended drills in Crimea. The troops have been ordered back to their bases. How do you see the situation on ground?
Unfortunately, we cannot yet relax here in Kiev. The signs, the signals that are coming from Moscow are making one hopeful, but the threats have been very explicit over the last weeks, and we still remember what happened to 2008 in 2008 to Georgia, when there was also a war after the end of training drills of the Russian army. So there's no full relaxation yet here.
All right. Now, there were also reports of a cyber attack on Ukrainian defense, military and armed forces websites, also two banks. It is believed that any military attack would be preceded by a cyber attack. What do you make of this?
Yes, there are two possibilities. This is just the usual hybrid war that Russia is conducting against Ukraine already for almost 8 years. And, there are other measures being taken, like a blockade of the Ukrainian ports in the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea, lots of economic sanctions and other sort of subversive strategies. But it could also be a preparation for a military attack or an exercise for a future military attack. So the signs are less frightening than a few days ago, but we are still on alert here in Kiev.
Right. Also, what can you tell us about President Putin's statements on Donbass? How do you see the situation unfolding on that front?
If there will be indeed a recognition of the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, pseudo-states artificially created by Russia, and now if they now also become officially recognized by Russia, that would resemble the behavior of Russia towards the occupied territories of Georgia, of Abkhazia, and so-called South Ossetia. And that would, of course, mean the end of the so-called Minsk agreements and also the Normandy format, which is another sort of negotiation process involving not only Russia and Ukraine, but also France and Germany, would then become largely senseless.
All right, Mr. Andrei Zoumblin, thank you so much for joining us with all your insights on this.
Thank you for having me.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.